live
Hey
at
everybody.
5.
Yes.
And I'm making a cameo
Yes.
on Thursday, February.
Guys, we have
the
Imogen
20th.
Lloyd-Webber here.
Whoop, whoop. From back in the day. I used to do this
Indeed.
every day.
Yes. And I'm Andy
very excited.
Lefkowitz.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. You
So I'm
guys-
excited.
So excited. We have a huge guest today.
Huge
we
guest.
have Tony winner Priscilla Lopez here from Grand Horizons. Woo! But
Yes.
before Imogen sits down and talks with Priscilla, first we're going to talk about today's top 5.
Natalie Portman is sticking around a little longer.
Indeed. So we found out today that the world premiere play All the Natalie Portmans, which is appearing with Off-Broadway's MCC Theater, has received a 2-week extension before the show has even opened. So originally announced to run through March 15th, the play will now run through March 29th at the new MCC space, which is just far west from where it used to be.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
those of you guys familiar. This new play is written by C.A. Johnson, and it has an incredible cast led by Tony nominee Montego Glover.
Love her.
Love
Yes.
her.
She's very glam in real life,
She's
too.
so
Yes.
glam.
She once turned up at a party I was at, and I thought, I cannot compete with those heels.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
She's
Amazing.
And she's a real sweetheart,
She
too.
is a sweetheart.
Yes.
The rest of the cast includes Kara Young, Elise Kibler, Joshua Boone, and many more. So the play centers on 16-year-old Kayana, who's extremely close with her older brother and dreams of a better tomorrow. Kayana escapes by writing to her muse or muses, Natalie Portman, in her most iconic roles. When all the Natalie Portmans start talking back to her, Kayana finally has to face her own off-screen drama.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Looking forward to that one.
So now you have until March 29th to check out all the Natalie Portmans off-Broadway.
And it was announced today that Broadway is going to honor one of our most iconic legends.
Yeah. The Broadway League has announced that the marquee lights of many Broadway venues will be dimmed for 1 minute on February the 29th at 7:45 p.m. in memory of stage pioneer Margot Lyon.
Yes.
And the Tony-winning producer passed away on January the 24th. And the Committee of Theatre Owners will dim the lights of the New Jampson Theatres, where Lyon often collaborated and worked, and also the American Airlines, Bernard Jacobs, Helen Hayes, Neil Simon, New Amsterdam, Vivian Beaumont, Lyric, and Samuel J. Friedman Theatres. So Lyon won Tony Awards as producer of Angels in America, Millennium Approaches, and Perestroika, as well as Elaine Stritch at Liberty, and the musical adaptation of the film Hairspray, which stemmed from her initial idea, which I actually didn't know.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So hats off to Margot Lyon, and
Yes.
what a wonderful tribute to her.
Much missed.
Yes. And this stage icon has so many new gigs lined up, and this is just one more.
Yes, so more exciting news about Annalee Ashford, Tony-winning Broadway star. We found out today that she's going to headline a CBS comedy series pilot called Be Positive. Now, this is created by Marco Panett and Chuck Lorre, who are the brains behind the series Mom. Ryan Murphy will serve as showrunner on the series.
He's not made any
Right?
hits,
I
has he?
know, right?
No.
He's quite busy.
Yeah.
So the series follows Drew, a newly divorced dad, faced with finding a kidney donor who is at the end of his rope when he runs into Gina, played by Ashford, a rough-around-the-edges woman from his past who volunteers her own kidney. Together they form an unlikely bond and begin a journey that will change both of their lives. So this will be actually an additional collaboration between Ashford and Murphy, who are currently at work on Impeachment: American Horror Story. Ashford is going to be playing Clinton accuser Paula Jones in that, and these two series are actually being filmed at the same time. So I can't wait to, I hope this pilot gets picked up, and I can't wait to see Ashford back on screen.
She's on fire right now.
She really is.
Yeah.
And this is very timely news because today we found out all about London's National Theatre season.
Okay, I'm not happy about this story because Caitlin gives it to me. We've all had quite a busy day, and I had to come into the office, and genuinely, I have no idea how to pronounce any of these names. Well, I
Say
can
it
do
with
one.
confidence.
Okay, so I can do the first bit.
Yes.
Olivier-winning stage and screen star Kristen Scott Thomas has signed on to headline a new production of the tragedy Phaedra.
Phaedra.
Thank you.
Yes.
As part of the new season of London's National Theatre.
Yes.
Simon Stone will direct and adapt the play from the original work of
The original work of
Euripides,
Seneca and Racine.
Racine. Yeah. The
We
play,
need like a lesson on Greek
we
tragedy
do.
here.
I did
for Live
Latin.
Five.
I didn't do Greek
Oh
at
my
school.
goodness.
I got an A in Latin though. The
Come
play
on.
tells the story of Phaedra,
Phaedra.
Yes.
wife of King Theseus of Athens, and her consuming lust for her stepson Hippolytus.
Hippolytus, yeah.
Drama.
Thomas will be joined on stage by Asad Boab with additional casting to come. The 20 to 21 national season will also include Afterlife, a new play written by Tony and Olivier winner Jack Thorne. So looking forward to that. We love the National Theatre. A
Yes.
lot of shows that start at the National Theatre do end up going to the West End and then coming to Broadway.
Yes.
So we always do keep a close eye on what they're doing.
Definitely. Yes, and we are going to save the state because we're all headed to Hollywood.
Indeed. So more Ryan Murphy news, who, by the way, is a Tony winner for producing The Boys in the Band on Broadway. So his new series, Hollywood, which is packed with stage stars, has revealed a premiere date of May 1st on Netflix. So this is a series that is billed as a love letter to the golden age of Tinseltown, set in the 1940s, and it focuses on the lives of Archie, Raymond, and Jack, who are played by two-time Tony nominee Jeremy Pope, Emmy winner Darren Criss, who comes back to Broadway this season in American Buffalo, and David Corenswet. The cast also includes two-time Tony winner Patti LuPone, who is also returning to Broadway this season in Company, Holland Taylor, two-time Tony winner Joe Mantello, Jim Parsons, and many more. So mark your calendar for May 1st for Hollywood. And also on the site, we have a new episode of London Calling.
London
with
Calling
Imogen
back.
Lloyd-Webber.
Yeah,
Yes, we
with Paul
did.
Hilton from The Inheritance.
Yes,
So he gave a great
wonderful.
interview.
Yes.
I managed not to cry. Same cannot be said of my producer, Caitlin.
I did cry.
Full on, slight ugly tears.
It was so beautiful.
beautiful.
It's the best. Everybody go watch it.
It was fun. It was fun. And I also have a really, really fun English lesson this time round.
Yes. Highly recommend.
I also cover the Royals, and it was quite a good hybrid of Royals and theatre coverage. So yeah.
Yes.
There we go. And also on the site, we have rehearsal clips from the new musical adaptation of Mrs. Doubtfire, which is arriving at the Stephen Sondheim Theater this spring. So check those out. They look super fun. Rob McClure and Jen Gambatese are just adorable, so you have to see these clips. Yeah. That's everything from a news standpoint. I'm going to head out, and Imogen is going to chat with our new guest. Why don't you tell us about her?
Yes, gladly. Of course, I will tell you guys all about Miss Priscilla Lopez, who is here with us in the studio today to talk all about Grand Horizons, which marks playwright Bess Wohl's Broadway debut. You guys probably know Miss Priscilla Lopez from her Tony-winning turn in A Day in Hollywood / A Night in Ukraine, and of course, her Tony-nominated portrayal in A Chorus Line. You guys, Grand Horizons marks Priscilla's 13th Broadway production. No, she's nodding her head. 20. 15. We're doing math right now, live. 15th Broadway production, you guys. So you guys can follow along all the fun that they're having over there at the theater at Second Stage NYC. That is the number 2 ST NYC. You guys might get a little glimpse of all the fun that this crew is having backstage. It truly is so much fun. Make sure you guys leave all of your questions down in the comments below. And please welcome Priscilla and Imogen. Yay!
Thank you so much for doing this, Priscilla.
My pleasure.
So you have some cast going on at Grand Horizons. Like I'm sitting there in my seat, and then just there's another star and another star. I mean, you must be having a ball.
It's wonderful. I mean, because everyone is of a certain caliber and so professional, especially Miss Jane Alexander,
Yeah.
who I'm just amazed. I signed her poster and I said, working with you is a master class. Thank you for the privilege. No, so happy for the privilege. I didn't say thank you. I said, so happy for the privilege. Because I've learned so much. I mean, in my own experience of my own work, you know, you learn things and go on, but when you're actually working with someone, you see how they do it. You go, wow, okay, I get that.
So let's set the scene for everybody. So what is Grand Horizons?
Grand Horizons is a community for 55 and over, and it has different parts to it too. I mean, one character says it's one-stop shopping, that you go there and you start independent living, and then there's assisted living, and then there's the end of living. And so it's about all the issues that people of that age group are dealing with.
But I think it's a situation we can all relate to. I mean, I've got a granny who is in assisted living and so forth. So I think you must get that the audiences come in and they sort of can picture exactly where
Right.
you are. Now, there's not really a spoiler alert to say sort of the crux, the thing that
End of
sets
the-
everything off, the beginning,
Just the very
the D
beginning.
word.
The
We talk
D
about
word.
that.
Yes.
Oh, what they talk about in the first scene?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
no, that's fine. That's fine. We can't
So-
talk about the end.
No, we won't talk about the end. No, we won't talk about the end of the first act. No, we won't talk about the end of the first
No.
act, which is does take one by surprise. But the premise of the whole show. Talk to us about
Well,
that.
these are two. This is a couple that's been married for 50 years,
Yeah.
and they're, 80, certainly 80, maybe 80 plus a little bit. And the scene opens, and they're having dinner. The wife is Nancy; she's preparing dinner, and the husband Bill, I guess he's getting the forks. And they go through the whole ritual, sit down to eat in total silence. And after the audience, I'm sure, starts saying, "What the hell is going on here?" She says, "I think I want a divorce." And there's more silence, and then the husband says, "Okay." And that's how it starts, which then starts this thing of throwing the family into total chaos.
Yes, and the children and their relationships. So it is one of those ones, isn't it? Where I think where audience members can come and they identify.
Yes.
They can identify with at least one person in the cast, can't they?
I was just having this conversation earlier, and I said probably 14 and up can come to this show, and everyone will have something to identify with.
And although it's touching on serious topics, I mean, it's funny.
It's very funny. I hear it every night. I mean, we hear it over the intercom as we're getting ready or wedding, dressing, and it's coming. You hear it coming. They say it, and you laugh out loud. You just do. It's very funny. The writing is wonderful by Bess Walsh. She's so talented and beautiful, and I call her Wonder Woman. She really is. When I met her up in Williamstown, she had just given birth and was pumping to feed her baby.
Amazing.
And I thought, oh my God, and you're writing a play. So
And that's the wonderful thing about the Hayes, isn't it? Because it's the smallest house on Broadway, so it is that intimate setting,
Yeah.
newly renovated, and it does give a chance for these sort of smaller pieces to have their moment in the spotlight on Broadway.
yeah, it's nice. It's nice because it's everyone. There isn't a bad seat in the house. It's so
And they're
small.
comfy too. There's legroom.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's very smart. We like the Hayes. So
Helen is upset. They took her first name away.
they did. Helen
She's
is-
up to no good at that theater. Things go down.
But I have learned that one calls it now the Hayes. I have managed to do that. So one of the questions that we do get often asked is on stage mishaps. So have there been any in Grand Horizons? Because it sort of
Oh, yeah.
strikes me as a sort of show where sort of things can go wrong and there might be some fun improv to get out of the situation.
I haven't witnessed them because I'm not on stage, but I hear about it. And then Ashley Park is my roommate
Yeah.
at the theater, and she's got the scoop on everything.
I
always.
can imagine.
So
We all saw her in Mean Girls. You can just imagine.
so she came. Well, one night I think there's some sort of wall hanging in the kitchen, and at the beginning of her scene. Her
Yeah.
scene with her husband comes crashing down, and she looks and she said, "We're going to have to tell them about that," meaning the parents. What else is gone? That's the only thing.
Fun and games go
Yeah,
on.
but, people jump lines or forget lines, or not on purpose. I mean, it just happens, and hearing them getting back on track. But it's rare, but it does happen.
Now, obviously, you've done a lot of musical theatre. You're known for that. And you're with a cast, including Michael Urie and Ashley. So are you breaking out in song backstage? I mean, are you having fun? Because I'm looking at all this major musical talent on stage. And it's a great play, and it's wonderful to see you all doing a play. But, are you having...
Yeah, I mean,
Some moments
I have
backstage?
the habit of just, if somebody says something, just a line, the word, I go right into whatever song. It doesn't have to be musical theater. It's just any song. And then Ashley, she joins in, and we never really know the words, but we're just la, 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 till the next time someone says something that reminds me of something, and I jump in, and then she jumps in. So it's kind of crazy.
Do you have more fun doing a play? I've got an actress friend who will remain nameless. And she, when she's in a play, is way more fun to hang out with, because when she's in a musical, doesn't drink, goes to bed, really boring. However, she's
You
in a
become a
play.
nun.
Yeah.
A nun when you're in a
You can
musical.
go out and she's like, I'll have a drink, I'll have a vodka. And I'm like, who is this person and what have you done? So is
No,
it,
it's
is it
absolutely
easier?
true. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll eventually get to you if you do it all the time. You know, your voice is still vulnerable to, the wine and screaming and staying up late, but it's not as well. Right now, Ashley was not feeling well. She got a little bit of something, had a cough, but you can still do a play.
Yeah.
If she had to sing, it wouldn't happen, so you really have to work a lot harder in a musical in terms of taking care of yourself and then producing the work. It just is a lot harder. Except I'm just as exhausted, even with my little, my few moments there. I'm shocked on how exhausted I am. And I figured it out that no matter how small or how large your role is, you have to have that same, your psyche uses the same amount of energy to jump on the moving
Yeah.
train, to be at a certain level, and then, kind of let go, and then you sit, so you suddenly come down a lot faster. If you had to go back up again, your energy would stay up, so you're not feeling as tired, but you get tired sooner because you don't have to do anything anymore. So sit over here. No, it goes very quickly. The show actually, it's amazing. It's how fast it goes.
Now, obviously, I did a bit of Googling on you before
Uh-oh.
I
It's not
interviewed
true.
you.
It's
I
not
tried-
true. I didn't punch her. I swear.
But what's always fascinating about Google is it pops up, against somebody's name, like, the first search term. And for you, and I think obviously it's In the Heights, even though obviously you've done all these other big shows, it must be amazing for you to have known Lynn back in the day and look at the superstar who's become. Is it sort of like a motherly instinct of just, wow?
It is amazing, and I'm happy to say that he is so sweet and genuine, and that's the best part about him. His parents would come to the rehearsals all the time,
Yeah.
and they're a very tight family, and I think that's part of why he is the way he is, that he has been brought up with the sense of family.
Yeah.
And I remember his mother saying one time, "Do you think it's good? Do you think this is going to be a hit?" I said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "I've been in a lot of shows, flops
Yeah.
and hits. This one's a hit." Just really, really. I said, "Trust me, it's really good."
So you knew.
I did, because you can just feel it, because there's a sense of order when things are right. There's not chaos. When things are chaotic, nobody knows what's happening, and people start panicking. And there was order, and people in charge knew what they were doing. And then there was the wonderful thing about being in a Latin show.
Yeah.
Is that whole culture comes with you. So everybody's very touchy, huggy,
Huggy.
huggy,
Huggy.
kissy. But it's real, and everyone comes in and kisses everybody, and it's just a whole different kind of feeling, and it's the family. So it's a very
Family.
family-oriented thing. And then a lot of kids come to backstage, and then there are the rice dinners on Sunday, and so there's a lot of stuff that happens.
I feel like you just had such massive range and everything that's happened to you. Obviously, there was a chorus line, but you were also attached to a notorious disappointment very early on in your career, your Broadway debut that didn't
Yes.
happen. So let's maybe just cover that story, because it is so amazing, and it just shows that success and failure, actually, it's just about being there and being in the game, and then we'll take it to questions. But
Okay.
yes, your
Well,
almost Broadway debut.
My almost Broadway debut. And I'm happy to say that it was the first. Can I talk to them directly? Yes. It was the first poster up at Joe Allen's back in
Really?
the day. Yes, because Joe Allen's only has flops on the walls.
Oh, okay.
All those posters are just flops. Breakfast at Tiffany's was the first flop poster at Joe Allen's, and
You were young, weren't you? I mean,
I was 18.
Yeah.
I was 18, and I had just gotten my equity card. When I was a junior, I went to apprentice in some stock place up in New Hampshire, and then that choreographer liked me, so the next summer he invited me back to an equity company in New Jersey. It was called St. John Terrell's Music Circus, and that's where I got my equity card. And I had already, though, been auditioning for years by myself, show business, backstage, audition. And I would go, starting at 13 years old, thinking, well, what am I going to do when I get this? I'm going to have to quit school. Will my mother let me go? Always. So I didn't get any jobs, but what I got was I learned how to audition.
Yeah.
And there is a certain art to it, or, you know,
It's a
and
process.
yes, and so when the chance and the time came, because I didn't want to go to college to study theater because I went to school down the block from Broadway and the theater was right there. I said, I'm going to go to Oshkosh and study theater. I think I'll take my chances on 7th Avenue. So I went it was the first audition after I got my card, and it was
Breakfast at Tiffany's, but then it didn't open. Is that
didn't
right?
open. It
So
only
you went to
previewed.
Broadway and
Went to Broadway.
didn't
Well,
open.
actually, they sidelined the whole ensemble. I was home when I heard that it was closing after 2 previews because they couldn't fire me because I was on a 6-month contract. So, but it wasn't just me. The entire ensemble. It sort of became a very dark, you know, I don't know what it was.
But then you go and do a chorus line and you're the toast of Broadway. So that's
living-
showbiz, kids, right?
Showbiz, exactly.
Should we throw it for some questions?
Yes, please. All right. So the first question is Johnny says that they love being able to have an inside look of what goes on backstage through Instagrams, like the recent dog jumping, what's happening over there. Does that happen like before, or after the show? / how do you spend your time backstage during the show?
Okay, so which question first? First, that was the brainchild of Ashley Park.
She's so much fun. I've met her a few
Yes.
times and she's
So
She
fun.
hysterical.
starts everything. She's, hey, what if we had Kingley just jumping over my belly, you know, because she's pregnant in the show. So that started with just her lying in the hallway. This all happens at intermission, which used to be my space. You know, because the dressing rooms are so little, I go out there in intermission and I do a warm up. I do a physical warm up. I do a vocal warm up. Get my arms screech and whatever. And now they've invaded my space, but it's a lot of fun. So every day it grew. So first it was Ashley, then it was Malik and Ashley, then it was Malik, Ashley, and Susan, one of our understudies. Then it, you know, every day, and that was the culmination of everybody except James Cromwell was on that line because Jane was at the end, everyone else was lying down, and I was on the other end. And so what they do is they throw the ball, and then she just hops over everybody, and then we scream and yell and go, yay! Oh my God. So that happens during intermission. But I get to the theater at, you know, certainly an hour or more before, half hour. I
So you like to plan?
yeah, I just you know, they had given me the option. He said, well, you could come, you know, when the show starts. I said, no, I have to be there. I mean, because even if you're not on stage, listening to the show and being part of what's happening backstage is part of the whole adventure of it, you know? And so if you're not there, you miss a lot. So, and plus it's just a way of getting into the show and the rhythm of the show and hearing what the audience is doing or isn't doing and you know, listening to all those mishaps.
Yes, exactly. Okay, we'll do one last question. And Marie wants to know what has been the most surprising thing for you about this whole Grand Horizons experience?
Okay,
a good question.
That is a very good question, Marie. The answer is that in 2017, I was asked to join Williamstown for their season, but it wasn't Grand Horizons, it was the Clean House. And I had a ball. I loved it. It was great. I was just so happy to finally be led into the club because everything is a club. So I thought, oh, good. Before I died, I got to go to Williamstown. But anyway, so now they'll skip ahead 2 more years. 2019, I get a call from Mandy Greenfield. Thank you, Mandy. And she said, there's this new play, and Bess Wall is writing it, and it's going to go to Broadway. Would you like to do it? I said, yes. She said, well, maybe you should read it first. I said, no. Of course, I'll just do it. You know, I'm doing it. So she said, okay. So she said, I'll send you the script. So I get the script, and like all good actors, you check to see how many lines you have. So I open this and
Wait a little.
what's happening here? My character doesn't come in until the second act. So, and at that time, it didn't have a couple of the monologues that it has now.
Right.
It was just a nice little part, but it was a little part, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, God, I just said I would do this. And I said, okay, you gave your word, just do it. Don't be an actor saying the role is not big enough for me. You know, I didn't want to be that. And so I said, I'll just do it. And then the play developed and things were added to it. And it started to get a real response, and now at this point in time, the play itself and all the individuals involved are getting such incredible response that I never imagined it. I never imagined that it would be so perfect, you know. So that's the surprise.
Yay.
Well, Priscilla, thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you, everyone at Broadway.com, for letting me do a cameo today. And
course.
Caitlin, over to you.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are live at 5 every single weekday here on Facebook, and you can listen to us where we get your podcasts by searching for #live at 5 and hitting that subscribe button. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We talk to Courtney Reed all about Cambodian rock band.